Hello, this is Dave Willett from Vault Solutions, and I'm here to show you our junk mail filter for Symantec's Compliance Accelerator. So, to show this to you, I'm going to first connect to Symantec's Compliance Accelerator and and go into the review pane as a typical reviewer would do every day or week, and they're going to go ahead and review some messages. Now, quite often they'll see a lot of messages here that perhaps shouldn't have to be reviewed. These are messages that are newsletters, for example. So here's a newsletter that comes in perhaps once a day. And it would be nice to be able to filter these out so in the future they wouldn't have to see these. So with the Vault Solutions junk mail filter, it is possible to do that. So what we do is we provide these canned comments. And so these are comments that are going to show up down here if they click on this button. And by the way, this is something that would need to be enabled with a right. So it's one of the roles that needs to be modified to be able to show these canned comments. And if they have the ability to see them, then they'll see, for example, that there's a message here that says prevent future messages with this subject from being reviewed. They can also prevent messages with the sender or from this email domain from being reviewed. So I'll select prevent future messages with this subject from being reviewed. And then that gets added as a comment. So if I click on comments here, I'll see that in fact that there's this comment has been added to the message. Now what that does is that will put this filter into a queue of filters which then need to be enabled. So just by virtue of the fact that I did that, unless I've got particular rights to automatically enable filters, then somebody else would typically have to come in and enable that filter. So they would that other person would come into this filter editor, and this filter editor would show them the filters that have been added, and so they would be able to sort on a modified date, for example, and see the new filters as they come in. And they would be able to select the filter. Here's one, the contact center web events, and that's not been enabled yet. So I can go ahead and edit this and enable that filter. So once these filters are enabled, they automatically will prevent messages in the future of those with those subjects and from those senders, for example, from showing up in the review queue. So Compliance Accelerator has this built-in capability of not allowing certain messages to show in the review queue because of an exclusion policy, and it's the exclusion policy that we're setting on these messages. And to see the effectiveness of the filter, there's a junk filter statistics report that can be generated, and it can be automatically generated and sent out every day or a week to certain people. And this would show them, for example, that here's a message. Today's Shell Shocker deal previews. This message comes out daily, and so this has filtered out 10 of these messages, for example. And you can also see how many have not been filtered. And here's messages. 7 messages from newegg.com have been filtered automatically. So this is a way to monitor and see the effectiveness of the filter. Now, so in the future, if you realize that perhaps some of these messages were filtered, they should have been filtered, or you want to go check and just make sure that there aren't messages being filtered that shouldn't be filtered, it's possible to go ahead and do a search. Now, it's important to understand that these messages, just because they're filtered, it doesn't mean they're not being archived by Enterprise Vault. They're still being archived and indexed. They're just not showing up in the review cycle here. So I can go into the research pane here and create a new search to show messages that have been filtered. So I can just go ahead and as perhaps an audit policy, just go in and check once in a while to see if messages are being filtered that shouldn't be. So I can come in here and create a new filter, a new search called filtered messages. And so I can say, well, I want to see messages. Well, actually, I can go ahead and say I want to see all messages. And so I'm going to show all messages that were sent to and from this particular organization. And the key thing here is in this policy section at the bottom, which typically isn't used. But all searches have a policy by default to ignore exclusions. And that means if an exclusion policy has been put onto a message, as is being done with a junk mail filter, then those typically wouldn't show up in a search. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that to say we only want to see the exclusion. So only the messages that were actually filtered out are the ones that we're going to return here. So I'll go ahead and save that search, and I've actually done a search previously with that. So here's some filtered messages, and if I look at the results of that search, you can see that, in fact, I'm getting a lot of these messages at newegg.com, for example, and SQL. So these are all messages that should, in fact, have been filtered. But if you find, again, that there were some that were erroneously filtered out earlier, you can go back and actually search on those messages and put them back into the review cycle. So there's a possibility to go back and go ahead and set into review cycle messages that were filtered in the past. So this has been a demonstration of Vault Solutions Junk Mail Filter for Compliance Accelerator, and thank you for watching.